Okay, I don't even know where to start. So the studios just can't seem to help themselves. Jurassic World: A Fallen Kingdom falls victim to the Left-osauras and will cost the studio millions in box office revenue. I'm Ben Davies, this is Pure Hollywood. Okay, so basically, critics and audiences alike don't like this movie as much. It opened up 25% less than the original, and all the early reviews admit that it's a very far-left movie and conservatives won't like it. So how do I explain how this happened? The best way to sum this up is basically if a women's march decided, hey, the NFL makes tons of money, let's take over the field and see if the crowd likes it. And what I mean by that is the first movie, Jurassic World, is the 5th highest grossing movie ever in the box office. Yes, it's cheesy, but it has some fun moments and gave most people what they wanted. So do they ride the wave of their new fans? No, of course not. They listen to the loudest shrieking critics claiming the movie is sexist and change everything about it. Brilliant plan. Whew, as a viewer, it's a 2 out of 5. A critic, it's a 1 out of 5, and Faith and Values is a 1 out of 5. This movie is not worth breaking down in various ways, so I'm going to tell you why this movie fails. I want to show you why diversity of character, not ethnic diversity, is so important. Why a character needs to act believably in the scene. And how the Fallen Kingdom falls victim to the Left-osauras. Let's get into character diversity and why it's important. One character in particular was attacked. Yes, Chris Pratt was an example of sexist men and was an archetype of a patriarchal man. But Claire, the leading woman played by Bryce Dallas Harper, was a victim of the most criticism. Why? Because she needed help and she wore high heels. Whoa! But here's why it worked for most everyone except these crazy shrieking critics. The character Claire, in spite of being shackled by the patriarchy, is a CEO and a powerful woman. She's driven, she's type A, she's a perfectionist, she's driven, she's all these things. And she's the head of the entire park. And that's what's different about her character. But when the seat of power and authority comes crumbling, when the park starts to fall apart and she's thrust into the jungle, now she's a fish out of water, still having to wear the dress and the heels of this other world that she fell from. And this forces her together with the rugged, messy raptor wrestling Owen played by Chris Pratt. Da-da-da-da. And now these two very interesting, different characters are forced on a journey together. That's drama, that's interesting, that's what we like in movies. Now in this movie, she literally goes from being a politician-like Harvard graduate CEO to now a woke social justice warrior who is a dinosaur rights activist wearing combat boots and a ponytail. Dinosaur rights activist. And now when she's forced in with Chris Pratt, she really doesn't need him. He doesn't have to be there. And they look, dress, and act exactly the same. They're equally comparable in every situation. It is so boring to watch. Woo! Basically, the left is just wrapped up in diversity of sex and gender and care nothing about diversity of characters. They want every character to be exactly the same. And the next and most obvious part of this movie that choked harder than The Last Jedi did was how they made their characters so unrealistic. Here's something for you in case you get blackmailed into watching this movie. Every time something happens, just ask yourselves, why? Why would he do that? Why would she do that? Why would that happen? And you'll be like, oh, because they wanted it to happen that way. For example, the villains become so stereotypical and unbelievable to watch. I mean, as soon as you see the angry white men wearing aviators, or the young wealthy white guy claiming to want to do the right thing, you're like, yep, this is as deep as it's gonna get. The motivations are so weak and predictable. They're so flat that the villain literally has to explain why he's doing what he's doing constantly, because it makes no sense. That's half his dialogue. It makes every scene as boring and as empty as a Lance Armstrong apology. And the military guys are so forced into being the bad guys that even after they're the only people that saved the dinosaurs, broke PETA and the government wasn't going to do anything, only these military guys, the ones that saved the dinosaurs, they still have to make you hate them and make them the villains, that they show them just cattle prodding dinosaurs for no reason and actually ripping teeth out of dinosaurs just to collect them. Oh, it's like, look, you have to hate these guys. There's no reason for them to do what they're doing, but you just have to hate these guys. And don't worry, they meet their justice. About an hour and a half in the movie, after there's been no gore whatsoever, there's a house of rich, wealthy people, and the dinosaurs get loose, and all of a sudden, arms go flying, people are ripped in half. It is just like so shockingly stupid. But what is somehow worse than the flat villains are the flat heroes that it creates. And since the villains can only be these white guys, you know that everyone else is going to be totally fine, nothing bad's going to happen to them, and they're going to be shown in the best possible light for no reason. For example, when you see a 9-year-old child walking through the mansion, you know she's going to save the day at some point. And she does. Literally, no better example of this is at the end of the movie, after it's already been established that no woman's going to be saved in this movie. Claire gets hurt, so it's just Chris to save the day. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to let this happen, are they? Sure enough, he's on the roof with the raptor, with the gun, pouring down rain on a glass ceiling, and sure enough, his gun doesn't work. So who comes to the rescue? Claire, with her leg magically fixed, standing 10 stories up in the rain, banging a machine gun on the roof, taking down this dinosaur. Because everyone has to be equally strong and capable. Woo! Okay, another hero of this movie is Franklin Webb, a beta biracial male who is called into action. His character is an absolute coward. But don't you worry, when one of the strong white military guys asks him to hurry up in opening a door, he turns around and defiantly quips at this military guy. But wait, wasn't this character afraid of bugs 30 seconds ago? Yeah, but that doesn't matter. He needs to talk down to this guy. And then there's the Zia Rodriguez character brought into Jurassic World because she's a dinosaur veterinarian. Has she seen a dinosaur? No. Has she worked on a dinosaur? No. Isn't she 25 and it take 8 years to be a veterinarian? Yes. But forget that. And weren't there dozens of veterinarians in the park originally when it was open 3 years ago? Yeah, there were. So wait, why are they taking this girl to the island? Okay, fine. She's a biracial lesbian feminist. Okay, bring her along. That's really not the biggest problem. It's really what happens in the scene, how they force characters to do things that make no sense. Literally during a dangerous mission, she walks up and demands that she goes on this journey with these military guys. Keep in mind, these guys have been on the island for weeks, killed multiple dinosaurs, and captured many too. And she, having zero experience in the island, zero experience with dinosaurs, talks down these guys and demands she goes. And of course, they just let her. Then after Chris Pratt is betrayed and he's shot and these military guys surround her, she just holds up a gun and defiantly talks them down for literally no reason when they could just kill her right there. And this happens over and over again when these guys literally have the green light to kill her, but she just quips and talks down to them constantly that at one point, he finally turns around, shuts her in the door, looks in the camera and says, "Man, she's a nasty woman." Quoting Ashley Judd at the Women's March. And not only do these moments and stupid lines take you out of the fantasy and thrust you into an angry leftist Facebook thread, but the reason why it really doesn't work is like, wait, why didn't they just say no? Why didn't they just shoot them? Why didn't they just hit them in the face? Which means these characters can do no wrong and there's no stakes or responsibility whatsoever. And that's really what the problem is. Unlike the Steven Spielberg classic in 1993, every good character is safe and perfect, but in the original, no one is safe. And that keeps you at the edge of your seat because everyone is fair game. In these new progressive movies, there's only one type of person who is ever at risk. And they didn't do this to make the movie better. They didn't take the elements that you loved from the Steven Spielberg classic Jurassic Park, but rather they wanted to force and trap you as the audience in their world, Social Justice Park. I'm Ben Davies, this is Pure Hollywood. And another fantastic news, you can now download the Rebel app and take me with you wherever you go to get exclusive content in the entire Rebel lineup.